You know the sound. You know that we're here. Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, a rainy Tuesday here in South Florida. This is the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. I am Steve Nudelberg. Across from me,
Lori Salarulo, CEO of Junior Achievement.
and Shay Money driving the board. Good to thank you for yesterday. I know that was not the ideal scenario with you being at a golf tournament, but it all worked out well.
Make it happen.
Super fun to have Andy Cagnetta and Steve
Great
Sloan
job.
talking about, the ability to, you're never too old, man. It's never too late. You're never too old. I love, that's a big message that Gary Vee says, talks about. So I love all of that. Lori, this is your Monday. Normally when we do the huddle, you're on Tuesday. So you had a fun-filled weekend. Unfortunately, I was unable to participate in both events.
I know. Great. Started on Friday. We had our board retreat over at Naples. We had probably the highest attendance ever. So we had about a little over 60% of our 80 board members there. Just fun, competitive. We got to know each other, build connections, stronger connections, dig deep into our strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats, dig into some threats, come up with our strategic plan, play some games, just really a great 2 days. Then we all ran back for the United Way Gala on Saturday night. And that was great. Great to see everyone. Just an amazing networking event of community leaders. And then Sunday we had a birthday party in Miami. So it was a busy weekend.
Busy. I slept through the whole weekend, man, which was
we missed you.
It was catching up time. I woke up. I knew I was sick. I went Thursday night. We had tickets to see Heart, which, by the way, was an amazing show, but probably shouldn't have gone. And then Friday was rough and Saturday was done. It was just so anyway, sorry to miss it, but I'm really, really glad you're doing well. Jeanette is saying audio. I'm not really sure what that means. Shay, you can hear me. Hopefully everybody can hear me, all that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff happening in the news on a Tuesday. How about this? Everybody talks about being healthy and running, and, some people take it to the extreme and they do all of these things like marathons. How about this dude who every mile stopped to do a glass of wine during the London Marathon? So he is a wine connoisseur, and he was able to run and taste a different wine and call it out what it was, all during the run. Which was every mile, which, I mean, you talk about, attention to detail.
I love that he said he was exhausted at the end. I would have fallen asleep after the first glass.
That's what I mean. I mean, when you are drinking and running and it's running through your body, 25 glasses.
Plus, you get dehydrated when you're drinking alcohol, right? At least I think.
Glasses of wine. I mean, I don't know anybody capable of still standing, let alone running. So you just never know. So it goes to, again, reinforcing anything's possible if you put your mind to it. Today is the 172nd anniversary of the day in 1852 that Peter Mark Roget published the first Roget thesaurus. Somebody who's totally into words like I am. Fun fact, he spent 50 years working on it before he published it. Isn't that incredible?
Listen, before we had all these tools, right, where you could just look up synonyms or, and you were in Word and it gave you all the other options. That book was my favorite book when I was writing, because I used to have to do a lot of writing for work in the corporate field. I love that book. I still love synonyms, right?
The whole AI phenomenon, sort of damages the brain, I think. It's like where's the work? Looking and hunting and doing, not just giving it to you, but there are other words that you can use for what he did for dedication, and that would be commitment, devotion, diligence, ardor, perseverance. All words that we live by.
Great synonyms.
All. I love this one. This was yesterday. Actually, I think it was Sunday, and I didn't get a chance to mention it either Sunday or yesterday, but I'm bringing it here today. It was National Pay It Forward Day.
Yeah, I love that.
So
by the way, there's so many benefits to paying it forward.
So talk about it. Give me when I say pay it forward, what does that mean to you?
For me, it's about creating a ripple effect, right? Someone does something kind for you, instead of doing it back to them, doesn't mean you can't, but instead of doing it back to them, you do something kind for somebody else. And I just think it makes you feel good, right? When you do it, it makes you appreciate and be grateful for things. I think it strengthens relationships. I just think it's good for your mind and your body and your soul, and just makes you feel good.
I absolutely 1000% agree. In fact, yesterday I woke up, I knew I did the huddle. I was still struggling, didn't feel well. The way I decided to kickstart my day was to make a couple of introductions that people didn't even know were coming. So I did it first, and then the rest of the day just boomerang back at me. So, crazy when you pay it forward, it is a boomerang effect. Clearly one of my favorite movies. I don't care what you think of Kevin Spacey. It was a great film. So finally,
I have to watch that again someday soon.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, it should be required watching because it's so good and so warm and so great. Finally, in the things that make you go, Shay.
Ooh, you give me a little. There we go.
Things that make you go. Things that make you go.
So
It's not in my line of sight, so I have to scroll down real quick to get it.
Good job. This is the power. You just never know what's going to go viral. You never know what's going to hit. New Balance just came out with a shoe called a Snowfer. It's the latest ugly shoe to go viral, and it's basically a combination of a sneaker and a loafer. Won't be available till August, but the waiting list is tremendously long.
I won't be on it.
You could give me those.
That's what I said. I will not be on that waiting list. They are the ugliest shoes I ever saw. I'm sorry. I'm going to wear my nice shoes.
The reviews are positive. It's a sneaker that dares to be worn with a suit, was the Wall Street Journal's take on it. Nope, not going to happen. Shay, wake this thing up. We got a great show coming up. Boom. All right. As we do every day, we start with a positive thought, a daily affirmation. Incredible how many people are not using this tool to kickstart their day, drink the Kool-Aid. But I grabbed one from Bené Brown. Lori, would you read it for us?
Love her. Time is growing short. There are unexplored adventures ahead of you. You can't live the rest of your life worried about what other people think. You were born worthy of love and belonging. Courage and daring are coursing through your veins. You were made to live and love with your whole heart. It's time to show up and be seen.
Wow. I mean, if she is one of those women that just puts out amazing content, very similar to me, for me, like Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Like very like obvious stuff, but when you see it in writing or you read it, it really does develop a thick skin. So thank you for reading that. As we get into content today, I'm constantly searching and reading and doing. Adam Grant is one of my favorites. And I thought this was apropos for a couple of reasons. I know that you're always looking to hire new people.
Mhm.
We are in the process of hiring new people. And this breaks down the job interview. And he says that it is healthy, actually smart, to acknowledge your weakness within the interview process. I want to get your thoughts.
I agree. Yeah, I remember when I was going, and it talks about a woman who didn't have experience in something in the article and ended up getting the job. And I remember when I was coming back into the workforce and I went on that interview and I said to the guy, I don't have the experience on my resume that somebody else would, but right. But I do have the relationships, right? And am always willing to learn and go the extra mile. And that's what they talk about in this, right? It's okay to acknowledge, right, what you don't have. You can still promote what you do have, right? But putting it all together. I thought the interesting point, though, I always have to play the woman man thing. Sorry.
Well, that speaks to that. And here is that
Yeah.
women who self-promote have a harder time.
Well, they're not seen, right, as, it's not a positive thing for them. Let's put it that way. So I thought that was very interesting. But so it goes back to that old stereotype that it's okay for men to promote themselves, right? And we talk about that. That's that confident, but it's not okay, right? We're the bitch. We're the bossy person. We're the right. So it goes back to that most times.
So in one study, interviewers gave the highest ratings to business school applicants who are more concerned with being seen accurately than being seen positively. Undergraduates who played up their skills and accomplishments were not significantly more likely to get the job, which I found fascinating because this whole thing is an audition and you're there to sort of do the dance, and the beating the chest mentality, which doesn't fly in any walk of life now. I think that's a new learning. If you look at social media, but you've interviewed thousands of people, hundreds or thousands or whatever. What's your experience?
Yeah, I think we're looking for authenticity, right? There is no one perfect. I remember when I was interviewing when I was younger, remember the whole thing about when someone asked you, so tell me one of your weaknesses, and you turned a positive into a weakness. Remember that whole thing?
Mhm.
I don't think that's necessary. I think times have changed and people prefer someone who's more authentic and even a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, they said here, sadly, there's evidence for a particular backlash against female self promoters. So it's even more difficult. But I think it points back to, and this is a lesson for almost everybody in life right now, genuine and authentic wins over, acting, hyping. Oh, let me get my game on. Let me, if you show up as the genuine you, that's what people buy, whether it's in an interview and you are auditioning. I find it offensive when people do what I call an opera. Me. When it's all about them. I think, some of the questions that we've started to ask is, poking in that weakness. Give us, something that you were set to accomplish and you didn't. If people fumble over that, well, you're telling me you never failed?
Right. Right. Well, it's like social media, right? I remember when we first started talking about social media and using LinkedIn, and I know you hear this all the time in your trainings. we're a little hesitant because it feels like we're promoting ourselves, right? Even when we are being vulnerable and authentic on LinkedIn. And I know there are probably people, right? Some people think it's great that we share some things, but then there are others that's where that jealousy and the haters come in, and the naysayers are going to think no matter what we do that we're self-promoting. So,
I think the whole conversation is fascinating because, to your point, right? Are you showing up as an egomaniac? Are you showing up as a narcissist? Are you showing up, that it's all about you? Or are you genuine, authentic? Are you a team player? And by, assessing or sharing your weaknesses up front. And so to your point, you said, I'll show up and say, well, I don't really have the experience, but, and I love when people say this, there's nobody that will outwork me. I've said that, in lots of, where I've been in a competition with somebody else to get a job. And I said, I can promise you this. I can't control what's going to go right and what's going to go wrong, but I can with 100% certainty tell you that nobody will outwork me. And I love what Mike Ficara says, because you can't bullshit a bullshitter. And man, you see right through it, man. You just so totally see right through it. So awesome stuff. Let's get to motivational music, because it'll lead us right into how we react about what other people think. And it's the cars you may think.
Great song.
So, it's really funny. You don't really hear the Cars in any conversation about great music. And I don't know that they belong there or not, but every time a Cars song comes on, all the words, you sing to it. It's, it's super fun. I mean, I was just doing some research yesterday and that came up and I was like, it led me, because I park these articles and try and, make some rhythm to what we talk about. The headline on this article is, "Other people like us more than we think, research finds." And so it's common practice, and unfortunately, it can lead to the common conclusion that people don't like us as much as we hope they do. So your comments on that, my dear?
I think that, for me, it brought up the whole, imposter syndrome thing, right? Because it's natural for human beings. We want people to like us, especially, I was reading an article over the weekend about oldest child, youngest child, middle child, oldest, especially oldest, right? We want to please everyone. We want everyone to like us. And I think that's a natural thing really for anybody, but there are going to be people who don't. But sometimes I think we are our own worst critics and we get in our own head, right? And we think, oh my gosh, I don't think that person likes me. Right. And so then you start like imagining and making up all this stuff in your own head.
So it's fascinating because when you read about it, as suspected, people's thoughts about themselves were much more negative than were their thoughts about their conversation partner. So It's like, here we are. And I am guilty of this so much because, one of the things Mark and I talk about all the time is feedback loop. When somebody else gives you feedback, they're seeing what you can't see. Well, your own personal feedback loop can drive you nuts. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I hope she knew what I meant, or I hope he knew where I was going with that. Or, maybe that was too personal, or maybe that, you could really, really go bonkers. And so they actually call it the liking gap. And I mean, I think if most of us are honest, Kitty, shine in, because I think if most of us are honest, we have a much more negative thought about ourselves. Now, here's what's interesting. Like, now that we do stuff on video, I watch myself on video and I go, why would anybody watch me? I'm the hardest critic on me.
Sure.
What this actually talks about. Time and time again, we found that people left their conversations with negatively biased feelings about the impression they made. It's unbelievable. Like now I am committed, and I tell this to people all the time. I think my life changed when I stopped looking for validation on the outside. So I have this one thought, like, I don't need your validation. I know who I am. I know what I do. I know what I say, whatever. And then I walk away and get in the car and go, like, how do you
I was just going to say, I think we say those things, but we don't really feel them, think them, because, it's good to sound tough. Like, you know what, I'm not going to, I am who I am. And if they didn't, if they don't receive me the way, right. That's bullshit. We never, I don't think I'll ever really get to feeling that, right? We say that's a defense mechanism, but I don't think I'll ever stop worrying about, did I hurt that person's feelings? Did I say that right? But you could drive yourself crazy, especially when you're managing people, right? And you're having
segue. That's awesome.
I mean, you're having a conversation. You are coming from a good place of sharing with someone, right? Criticism or feedback, and you're trying so hard to say it without hurting their feelings. And that then you replay it 100 times in your head. Oh, did I say that right? Did they get my point? Did I not hurt their feelings? Well, you know what? It might hurt their feelings. We have to remember, too, that sometimes being authentic and honest, we talked about authenticity, sometimes that might hurt somebody's feelings. It's how we say it, right?
So
the truth
I love when Nancy jumps in. Great to have you back in the huddle, Nancy. But do you think that helps drive us to further grow? Absolutely. Inspecting the behavior and doing all that. It's just, at what point do you just say, it is what it is, which is my favorite saying. Thank you, Bob Goldfarb. I have that in all of my, my jackets and my blazers. Yes, it's helped me grow. Yes. At what point is, like yesterday I had a conversation. The person hired me, which I'm really excited about to get going. She's actually going to be the huddler in the hot seat on Friday. Do you know Danielle Rossi?
Yes, of course.
So she's awesome, and it was great. But I kept the whole ride home. I was replaying and saying, all right, was this right? Was this wrong? And you just never know. But it's male, female, it's employee, every conversation. So when I read stuff like this, it goes, all right, you know what? I'm not crazy, but I got to figure out how to manage it. So thank you for participating. Fun stuff happening in the world. Nothing beats paying it forward for me. Absolutely. It is the number one takeaway. Pay it forward. Just keep paying it forward. The world is a boomerang. Whatever you do. By
the way, paying it forward is not about just doing. It can also be about saying. So if someone says something nice to you today, it can also be about saying something nice.
I like that. It's really actions. Right. Your actions, and Jesse Itzler said, congratulate, console, all of that kind of stuff. You can really, really impact someone's day by just reaching out and saying, hey, I haven't spoken in a while. Let's just, catch up, or I was thinking about you. That is putting good shit out there. That boomerang comes back. Tomorrow, you get me and Jake. We got some fun stuff to talk about. Thursday, it's me and Mark. Friday, it's me and Danielle Rossi. For now, I'll get out there. Let's get down to business. Last day of the month. Still not too late to hit your numbers, do what you need to do, and get on the ball.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business.